Why Tupac always talked about pain, the real reason. Have you ever noticed that no matter the song, Tupac always seemed to come back to one thing: pain? It didn't matter if the track sounded aggressive, reflective, or even uplifting, somewhere within it, that theme was always present. That wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a branding choice or a lyrical gimmick. That was his reality. Tupac didn't talk about pain to sound deep or poetic. He talked about it because it was one of the few things he knew intimately. It was something he experienced consistently, from a very young age, and it shaped the way he saw the world. Once you understand that, his music starts to feel different. It stops sounding like performance and starts feeling like documentation. He grew up surrounded by struggle, not the kind you hear about from a distance, but the kind you live through daily. Poverty wasn't an abstract concept to him, it was a condition. Instability wasn't occasional, it was constant. From early on, he was exposed to environments where survival often came before comfort, and where hardship wasn't unusual, it was expected. Pain wasn't something Tupac visited occasionally. It's where he came from. As he got older, that foundation didn't disappear, it expanded. Legal issues became part of his life, not just as isolated incidents, but as recurring disruptions. He dealt with betrayal from people he trusted, conflicts within the industry, and the kind of public scrutiny that can distort reality. Violence wasn't just something he spoke about, it was something that surrounded him, influenced him, and eventually caught up with him. Layer by layer, these experiences built his perspective. Each situation, whether it was personal loss, broken trust, or systemic pressure, added weight to how he thought and how he expressed himself. And instead of suppressing that weight, he chose to release it the only way he knew how: through music. For Tupac, music wasn't just entertainment, it was an outlet, a form of expression that allowed him to say things most people either couldn't articulate or were too afraid to confront. He used his voice to speak on realities that often go ignored, especially in communities dealing with the same struggles he came from. He didn't hide his pain, he translated it. That's an important distinction, because a lot of artists might touch on pain in a surface level way or use it as a theme, but Tupac approached it differently. He communicated it directly, without filters. There was no attempt to make it more palatable or polished. What you heard was raw emotion, unfiltered, sometimes uncomfortable, but always honest. And that honesty is exactly why people connected with him. Listeners didn't just hear his music, they felt it. Because even if they hadn't lived his exact experiences, they recognized the emotion behind them. The frustration, the confusion, the anger, the vulnerability, it was real, and people could tell. That's what separated him from many others. It wasn't just about lyrical skill or delivery, it was about authenticity. He wasn't trying to create an image, he was trying to express a truth. Tupac didn't just make music about pain, he made people feel understood through it. And that's why, even years later, his message still resonates. Because the kind of pain he spoke about, the kind rooted in struggle, injustice, and human experience, didn't disappear with him, it still exists. And so does the need for voices that are willing to speak on it honestly. When you listen to Tupac with that perspective, you stop asking why he talked about pain so much, and you start realizing he almost didn't have a choice.